I was halfway through cleaning the kitchen when my phone buzzed on the counter. I almost ignored it. It was past midnight, and I just finished working a double shift. But when I saw the caller ID, Adil, my best friend since college, I wiped my hands on a towel and answered. "Bro," he said, his voice low but urgent. "You awake?" "Barely," I muttered. "What's up?" There was a pause, one of those heavy silences that tighten your chest before words ever arrive. "Listen, man," he said. "I'm at Mirage, the new club on 7th. I don't know how to say this, but your wife's here." My grip on the phone slipped. "What?" "She's here," he repeated softly. "With some guy." For a second everything inside me froze. My thoughts, my heartbeat, my breath. Then the disbelief hit. "You're sure it's her?" "Positive, bro. I've known her for years. She's in a white dress, dancing real close with this dude." The world felt like it tilted a little. I pressed a hand to the counter to steady myself. "White dress. Friday night. She told me she was at Zara's place for a girls' movie night. Send me a photo," I heard myself say, voice shaking. "Man, are you sure?" "Do it." Adil sighed. Then the line went quiet for a few seconds before a message popped up. I opened it. There she was, Sarah, my wife of just 2 months. Her arms around a tall guy's neck, laughing, eyes closed like she was lost in the music and the moment. Not a trace of guilt. Not a trace of the woman who had stood beside me in a white gown, promising forever. I stared at the picture until my eyes blurred. My mind refused to accept what it was seeing. This wasn't her. Couldn't be. I called her. Once. Twice. No answer. On the third try she picked up, her voice slurred and playful. "Hey, babe," she said, over-thumping bass in the background. My heart sank. "Where are you, Sarah?" "Huh," she said, pretending not to hear. "Oh, at Zara's. We're watching a movie." I clenched my jaw. "Then why can I hear club music?" There was a pause. Then laughter. "You're being paranoid. It's just the TV. Don't lie to me," I said, my voice breaking. "Adil just sent me a picture." The silence that followed was deafening. I could almost hear her breath hitch. She started, but the line went dead. I stood there, phone in hand, trembling. The house, our tiny cozy apartment that we picked together, suddenly felt foreign. The air was thick with betrayal. I didn't go to the club that night. I wanted to. God knows I wanted to storm in there, drag her out, demand an explanation. But something stopped me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe fear of seeing her with him again. Instead, I sat on the couch till dawn, staring at our wedding photo on the wall. Her smile, that radiant, effortless smile I used to think was just for me, now looked like a cruel joke. When she came home the next morning, she smelled of perfume that wasn't hers and cheap liquor. Her makeup was smudged, her heels in her hand. She froze when she saw me sitting there. "Where were you?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. "I told you, at Zara's." "Don't," I snapped. "Don't insult me with lies." Her lips trembled. "Okay, fine. We went out for a bit. I didn't think it was a big deal." "With another guy?" She looked away. "He's just a friend." I laughed bitterly. Friends don't hold each other like that. Tears welled in her eyes. I was drunk, okay? It didn't mean anything. I wanted to believe her. Every cell in my body wanted to cling to any excuse, any fragile thread that could hold our marriage together. But that photo wouldn't leave my mind. The way she looked at him, the way her hand rested on his chest. That wasn't just alcohol. That was comfort. Familiarity. The next few days were hell. We barely spoke. When we did, it was arguments, sharp, exhausting words that cut deeper each time. "I made one mistake," she shouted one night. "Are you really going to throw everything away for that?" "One mistake." I shot back. "We've been married for 2 months, Sarah. 2 months. If this is how easily you make mistakes, what happens in a year? 5 years?" She went quiet. Then, with a trembling voice, she said, "You're not the same person I married. You're distant. You're always working." I stared at her, stunned. "I'm working to build a life for us. For you." Her eyes filled with tears. "I just wanted to feel alive again." The words hit me harder than any slap could. "Alive," I whispered. "And you couldn't feel alive with me?" She didn't answer. After that, something inside me broke. I went through the motions, work, home, silence. She tried in small ways. Cooking my favorite meals, leaving notes on the fridge, touching my arm as she passed, but I couldn't feel anything. Trust, once shattered, doesn't rebuild with gestures. It needs truth. And she'd buried hers deep. One evening about 2 weeks later I got another call, this time from Adil again. "You might want to see this," he said grimly. He sent another photo. Sarah again. Same club. Same guy. But this time they weren't dancing. They were kissing. My knees nearly gave out. I stared at the screen, my world collapsing all over again. Only this time there was no denial left. It was real. She was gone, even if her body still came home to my apartment every night. When she walked in that evening I was ready. Her keys jingled, her perfume filled the air, and I could barely breathe. "I know," I said, holding up my phone before she could speak. "Stop lying." Her eyes darted to the screen, then back to me. She bit her lip. "It's not what it looks like." "Don't," I said, my voice breaking. "You don't get to say that. Not again." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't plan for this. It just happened." I laughed through my tears. "Things don't just happen, Sarah. People choose them. You chose him." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did," I said quietly. "And I'll never forget it." I packed her things that night. Folded every piece of clothing, every memory we'd built in those short 2 months. When she realized what I was doing, she tried to stop me. "Please don't do this," she begged. "We can fix it." I shook my head. "You broke something that can't be fixed." She reached for me, but I stepped back. Her tears fell onto the carpet, soft and silent, as I zipped her suitcase. "Where will you go?" I asked finally. She sniffed. "I'll stay with my sister." I nodded. "Good." When she stood at the door, she looked back one last time. "I did love you," she said softly. I didn't answer. I just closed the door. It's been 6 months since that night. Sometimes I still wake up reaching for her side of the bed, only to find it cold. I still hear her laughter in my head, still catch her perfume in the hall. Love doesn't vanish just because trust does. It lingers, heavy, haunting, cruel. Adil checks in often. He never says, "I told you so." He doesn't have to. I've stopped looking for answers. There aren't any that make sense. Some people love you for the idea of what you give them, not for who you are. And when the novelty fades, so do they. I deleted the photos. Not out of forgiveness, but because I needed to breathe again. Because every time I looked at her face, I saw both the woman I married and the stranger who destroyed me. Last week I saw her at a cafe. Alone. No makeup, no laughter. Just a quiet, tired version of the woman I once adored. Our eyes met for a brief second. She smiled hesitantly. I nodded, then turned away. Not out of anger, but because I realized I didn't feel the pain anymore. Just a dull ache fading with time. I walked out into the sunlight, and for the first time since that night I felt light again. I'm not sure I'll ever understand why she did it, or why I wasn't enough. But I've stopped needing to. Some stories end not with closure, but with acceptance. And maybe that's enough. Because sometimes surviving the betrayal is the revenge. And walking away, truly walking away, is how you finally win.